Welcome to Joe's Astrology, and I'm continuing reading from this book right here. And I'm reading the chapter on Jupiter in this video. And something I want to add to this, because if you're not, you're probably not this. But if you were not really interested in astrology and you wanted to learn about life, and even just the top, this is a magic book. If you wanted to learn about life, if you wanted to learn about, just get some type of learning or something from a book, astrology and magic books will do that. And particularly, we're talking about astrology here. You don't have to believe in astrology. You don't even have to like astrology. It's not going to influence you in some negative way or some positive way. There's just so much that I've learned from studying astrology that really has nothing to do with astrology from a layperson's perspective. So I just wanted to throw that in there. As we're reading, I'm going to start reading here from this book, this great little book by Phillip Cooper. In this chapter, we deal with the planet Jupiter, or to be more precise, the type of energy symbolized by this planet. See, that's kind of what I'm talking about here. We're talking about learning about energies. Jupiter, along with that other beneficent planet Venus, has long been a favorite among students of the occult. After all, everyone prefers the lighter aspects of joy and abundance presented by Jupiter, as opposed to the more somber tones of, say, Saturn. If you haven't seen that, I just did a long one. I read the chapter on his take on Saturn. Jupiter is the planet of plenty and everlasting supply of all things that are deemed good or joyful. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, limitless expansion, a fact which can either bless us or weigh us down with excess. In keeping with the optimistic outlook which Jupiter gives, not many occultists bother to consider both sides of this planet, or any other planet, if the truth be known. There are always two possibilities with any planetary energy, that which is positive and therefore beneficial, and that which is negative and therefore harmful. And I would add, really, and everything in between. There's a spectrum. Nothing is really that black and white. But of course, in today's world, a lot of people think in this one way or the other way. You think Democrat, Republican, left, right, up, down, light, dark. And really, a lot of people come down on others for thinking like that, but I think it's just a simplified way of thinking for simple-minded people, which most of us are fairly simple-minded. Let's see. If a planet is considered malefic, like Saturn, the negative tendencies are quite obvious. In this case, they would appear as severe restriction, hardship, and general inertia. As will be seen, this does not have to be so. Saturn has its good points, even though we humans often fail to recognize them. With Jupiter, the positive side is obvious, while the more negative traits tend to be ignored. However, it is important to consider these, for left to their own devices, they can often restrict our ability to derive full benefit from our magical work. In truth, a planetary energy is neither good nor bad, positive, negative, but beneficent, malefic, or any other division of opposites. It simply is. From then on, it is all a question of our attitude towards this energy. This may seem a strange statement to make, having just said that Jupiter is a benefic planet. Well, it happens to be true. And this is a lot of things, even studying astrology, that people do. They have tendencies. Like some people, believe it or not, have a tendency to enjoy Saturnian energy more than Jupiter energy, and then vice versa. And when you have that, when you have such a, say maybe like an extreme extreme dislike, if you will, for certain energy, you will run from Jupiter energy, even Jupiter energy, Saturn energy, whatever it is, you will run from it. Just think of, maybe even think of athletics. Some very Venus-like people run from athletics. They don't have strong Saturn or Mars in their chart, and they really do not want to spend any time around sports. Now, this is rare, but it does occur. Or you could be going through a phase where you're not interested in being around those energies. Look at the type of things which Jupiter represents or rules: joy, opportunity, luck, adventure, and so forth. You could hardly designate these as malefic, could you? No, of course not. We enjoy these things because they bring us happiness. However, the fact remains that it is our attitude to these things that really matters. We enjoy those things ruled by Jupiter, so naturally we look on the planet which bestows them as being beneficent. We adopt an attitude of mind towards the planet and all that it rules. The planet simply is. In truth, it remains a neutral source of energy, functioning along its specific channel and applying itself to those circumstances and objects which fall under its rulership. It is most important to remember this fact, for in later work it will set you upon the right road towards more esoteric matters. I can say personally, I have taken Jupiter energy too far, not respecting inertia or rest, and it has burned me bad. So, all planetary energy, although constantly outpouring, is essentially neutral. Only when it is modified by our minds does it become divided into good and bad. Our minds control everything, and we have the free choice either to use energy wisely or with stupidity. Good and bad are therefore manufactured by our minds, for there can be no such condition as neutral when dealing with power. Now, a lot of people would disagree with that. I'm not saying that I agree with everything that's in this book. I just want to put that out there. A lot of people would disagree with the fact that there is no such thing as good or bad. Power is. We must therefore choose and adopt the right attitude of mind in order to gain our heart's desires. Part of this process is, of necessity, one of looking at our attitudes towards life and then ridding ourselves of those ideas not in keeping with our best interests. With this in mind, let's now look at both sides of Jupiter with a view to gaining a balanced outlook towards its energy. The key word for Jupiter is expansion. Therefore, we must seek to work with this energy in truly expansive ways. How? Here are some useful suggestions. In this modern material world, we suffer greatly from the attitudes inherited from society, which in turn are largely colored by religion. Perhaps the greatest cause of human misery is that forced on people by overzealous priests who, in their sublime ignorance, advocate preposterous concepts concerning man's role in the scheme of things. It will take many generations to rid ourselves of the damage done by religion. Now, I think he's talking more of the sterner religions of today's world that are still in existence, like Catholicism or maybe some forms of Judaism, Islam, and the like. Obviously, if you've been around Christianity in different parts of the world, there are Christian churches that are more on the expansive side. They still do. I'd say I haven't been in all churches, but I've seen that, and I've seen that they still have the stuff that he's talking about as well behind the scenes, maybe, or in a smaller percentage, but a larger percentage of some of these churches are interested in taking Jupiter to the extreme, which a lot of people enjoy, and certainly enjoy that energy. Man does not, nor will he ever need the religious equivalent of a middleman, known as a priest, to help him deal with cosmos or contact universal energy. He does this anyway. Man, through his subconscious mind, is in constant contact with universal power and life energy. The only thing that can ever bring disaster, hardship, chaos, and lack is wrong attitude. Now look at the way of things subscribed to by that mythical state known as society. So he has a couple little mini chapters here, and this one here is or under Jupiter, and this one here is titled God Will Provide. Absolute rubbish. If you truly understand God, you will realize that he is an image. It is a well-known fact that the subconscious mind responds to images, especially if those images are personal. I just want to reiterate, I do not agree with everything that is said in this book. That's a strong statement. It's a very black and white statement. And as I said, I do not necessarily agree with everything in this book, or anything that I talk about, really. A perversion of this can be seen in spiritualism, in which the medium communicates with supposed spirits or those who have passed over to the other side. They presume that they are actually in contact with the discarnate beings. The truth of the matter is that they communicate only with images, however real these may appear to be. God does not provide, because God is simply a convenient image which we use to personalize power. The universe supplies the energy, and your subconscious mind does the rest, for better or for worse, depending on your attitude to life and, of course, your beliefs. Jupiter rules beliefs. Beliefs act as instructions to your subconscious mind, which in turn produces physical results. The lesson is therefore one of looking carefully at your beliefs, then throwing out the ones which are causing your trouble. A good idea is to begin by questioning any beliefs you have of God. After all, you will be simply looking at and examining an image which is probably not your own, but one given to you by a society ruled by church bigotry. Many of life's problems are caused by fear of God and other related problems. So why not look at this aspect of your life, then build a better, more realistic image of God based on truth? It reminds me of those, I don't know if it's like a clothing company, or recently seen a lot of those clothes that have written on them, fear of God, essentials. And very, very, very much antithetical, that's the word, antithetical to what he's saying here. Then title here is Bad Luck. Many people believe in luck, especially bad luck. If something goes wrong, it must be the fault of luck. After all, some people are born lucky, others are not. Is not that what they say? Is not that what you believe? Do not beliefs always get results? Then why believe in bad luck? Why be envious when you can also be lucky in life? See, the thing about these authors, this Jupiter thing reminds me of this. The thing about these authors is they're all teachers. You ever notice that? They're all teachers. And no matter what they're teaching, they make their money from teaching. They make their money from these books. I don't really know that much about this guy. I don't know how much money he has. He doesn't seem like he's made a lot of money in his life. From my understanding, he's married. He was married for a long time, maybe. Well, here's a story right here. Here's his on the back of the book. You can see he looks like a simple guy. Born in England. Under the sign of Aries, so he's an Aries. Normal school. Became a printer. He studied martial arts, which often Aries people usually do. Studied a variety of religions, got a black belt in karate. For 2 years under the church and school of Wicca, he studied witchcraft. He examined for himself the nature of astral projection and altered states of consciousness. Has long been immersed in Hermetic magic and tradition of Kabbalah. He mentioned some names here. Marsiglio Ficino and has students worldwide. Has a wife and 2 children, and this is the first of 2 his books to be published. So just saying that in the sense that he's interested in these topics, but I don't think he's used them to, like, he hasn't used the subconscious mind in a sense to do some like amazing great things that a lot of this alludes to. Now, why wouldn't, you might ask, why wouldn't he do that if he had that kind of power? Well, the only thing I would say is some people just don't have interests in those things. Hopefully, or ideally, he's speaking objectively. But just a little side note. They're always teachers. That's all I'll say. They're always teachers. Rarely do you get someone who really understands this, who can do it in real life. It doesn't correspond with their birth chart in a sense. If someone is lucky, they appear to get everything they desire. Life is filled with good things, and there is no evidence of lack. Why? Is it because they're naturally lucky? No, not really. Everyone has the ability to attract into their lives whatever they desire. With some individuals, this is easy. It is quite natural. In fact, they expect this. Note the word expect. Having seen these lucky individuals, did you ever take notice of their general demeanor or mental attitude? It is usually optimistic and very positive. They have an attitude towards life that, by its very nature, pulls in wealth and abundance. Again, I'm still very skeptical of all this. It's one of those things, just by me saying that, I'm going against what's in this book. So it's very easy for them to say, well, you're being skeptical, you're being negative, etc., etc., etc. Well, I'm not skeptical. I'm skeptical for reasons and research that are way too expansive for this video. So what makes you so different? Simply your attitude towards life and, of course, your beliefs once again. A lucky person feels lucky. What do you feel? Hopelessness, depression, uncertainty, doubts, fears, and so forth. Do you presume that life will continue to drive you to an early grave, to deny you better things, to beat you down, to take away any chance of ever succeeding? These are beliefs, wrong beliefs. Truly lucky people are lucky because they believe in luck. It is quite natural to them. I'll say one more thing. If you are interested in that, and you don't want to hear me rant about it for hours and hours and hours, check out the author, Dion Fortune. And she wrote a novel that really gets into, let's say, some of my thoughts, and that's called The Moon. What is it called? The first book's called The Sea Priestess. The second one is her moon book. I think it's just called Moon Magic. I have it in the other room. I'm not going to go get it. Anyone can attract luck. It is all a question of changing one's attitude from negative to positive, thereby affecting a change in circumstances. If you presume bad luck, you will have it. If, on the other hand, you realize that firstly, there is only neutral energy, and secondly, your attitude towards it governs a type of effect that this energy will have on your life, then you have the key to the mystery of luck. Think, believe, and even presume that you will be lucky in life, and it will be so. What have you got to lose? You can go on thinking that bad luck is the cause of your problems, or you can think about luck in a positive manner. One of the best ways to get abundance flowing into your life is by believing in realistic concepts such as the ones given in this book. Questioning beliefs and even life itself is bound to open up your channels of power. Think and question, then adopt beliefs which are right for you. Part of the art of gaining success is to root out incorrect beliefs and replace them with better ones. And another useful technique is that of looking at your habits, then ridding yourself of those likely to restrict you. Another funny, at least I think funny anecdote is when I was studying this kind of material, another author had mentioned that these magicians don't like doing magic rituals, or don't like doing magic to gain abundance, or to gain abundance per se, because what it usually does in today's world is get you a job that makes money, and there you begin to attain your abundance that you desire, but not without corresponding work. And a lot of people that get into this stuff don't want to do work. So that's like a little saying that goes around, I think, in these circles. Jupiter rules expansion, which in short means abundance, good fortune, luck, opportunity, and sheer joyful living. By attuning to Jupiter and by adopting realistic beliefs, all these can be yours. However, one other obstacle stands in your way, and this is the problem of negative Jupiter habits. What are these? There's a great deal of misunderstanding about man's place in the universe, and in particular his role here on Earth. Certain wise men did try to point out the way of things, but their words were twisted by religious bigots, or at best misunderstood. Take the simple statement, "Sell all thou hast and follow me." Fools have interpreted this to mean that the material side of life is to be rejected in favor of the so-called spiritual. This is nonsense. There is a far deeper, more profound reason in this statement that has ever been suspected by priests. Christ did not mean give up the material side of life. This would be silly and impractical. He was simply using a little-known law that would guarantee abundance, a law that unblocks the channels of the mind to allow abundance into a person's life. There's another really good book that I want to bring up on this channel that has nothing to do with astrology, though, or the occult, psychology. And again, I don't know if this is true, 100% true or not, but it's written by a psychologist, and it's just talking about what creates serotonin or dopamine, all these neurotransmitters in the brain. And one thing that stood out to me that was interesting was that what status does physically to the brain. And that could quite possibly be wired into humans in general. And when I see that, it made me think of, like you think of this statement, to give up the material life and follow Christ, or follow, like, it be poor, etc. But if you don't have something in your life that gives you status to some degree, it seems like it does have some negative effect on the brain. And even, you could even think of getting status could be, being helping people and being known for helping people, and then but being like a leader in that field. But nonetheless, just that idea of being in charge, a leader, gaining something from the work that you're doing might be hardwired into the brain. Fools may put this down to karma or fate, but this is not the case. The real problem lies within that person's mind as a negative Jupiter belief pattern. Like attracts like, and so the effects of this are bound to manifest as problems as far as the individual is concerned. Life seems harsh, and there seems to be no way to avoid the difficulties. It is then very easy to believe in fate or even the will of God. Naturally, beliefs such as these will do nothing to alleviate the problems. They will probably make things worse. As stated, there is no compulsion in the cosmic scheme, yet it is all too easy to believe in such restriction, in such restrictive concepts and ideas, which you will remember act as instructions to the subconscious mind. This in turn seeks to actuate these beliefs in physical terms. The only real restriction is one of believing in the wrong ideals given to you by society from the day you were born. If you truly wish to change your luck and have abundance pour into your life, you must change those beliefs. How? Not by using critical self-analysis, although this may appeal to some, but by simply adopting new beliefs. No matter what the aspects may indicate in your chart, these can always be used to enhance your life, even though they may well have caused you considerable difficulties in the past. A bad placement or aspect will incline towards unsuitable inner beliefs, resulting in negative Jupiter-type problems. In short, the abundant, expansive nature of the energy will be providing the wrong sort of abundance, owing to the fact that your subconscious mind is simply seeking to carry out the instructions given to it. See, in some cases, people might like those. They might like those placements, even though they're known as negative. They might not want to admit that, but like sometimes I get into like confrontational energy, and like right now I could say I don't want confrontation, but once I start getting into it, man, it gets me going. I love it. It's like being an athlete in athletics, the competition, even though the competition is not always good for you, for the win. It knows nothing of right and wrong, good or bad, or indeed any other type of moral distinction. It only understands instructions, beliefs, regardless of how these originated. Remember that most of your beliefs, values, standards, moral codes, and so forth are not your own, but those given to you by your parents, teachers, relatives, society in general. They were accepted by you when you were quite young, before your powers of discernment had developed. You believed what you saw and heard. In short, you trusted all that was presented to you and then allowed this to fade into memory. It was forgotten, yet it became habit. Think back how much of your life is ruled by those early days. Has anything changed? Have you altered anything? Have you thought about these values? The chances are that you have not, so they continue to work. I mention this simply to point out that most of our thinking is preconditioned and is nothing more than an extension of the thoughts of others. We do not really think for ourselves in the truest sense of the word. Instead, we think only within the confines of or beliefs given to us since birth. Naturally, heavily afflicted Jupiters will suffer more than most, for they will tend to attract and absorb more of the negative possibilities. So he's talking about afflicted Jupiters, could be Jupiter, maybe Jupiter square Saturn, maybe Jupiter, I mean, what am I thinking? I guess Jupiter square Saturn, Jupiter square Mars, Jupiter in a debilitated state in a sign like Gemini or Capricorn. To change your luck, and that doesn't mean that in those cases that like my father, I think he's extremely optimistic and he has Jupiter in Capricorn, but there's other mitigating factors in the chart as well. To change your luck, likewise, the well-blessed Jupiters will be the ones who are supposedly lucky in life. Jupiter Moon, Jupiter Venus, Jupiter in the 10th house, etc. To change your luck or to attract more abundance is therefore a matter of replacing old and outmoded beliefs with better ones. This is not difficult. In fact, it is remarkably easy, providing that you make the necessary effort. Here are some practical suggestions. I definitely disagree with that. It is not that easy. If you're living with people, you could do it in your mind, but it's difficult. Like for me, for example, it's difficult for me to do that and then not express myself in public. And inevitably, I can do it in my mind, and then I start talking differently, and other people see that my beliefs are different, and that causes problems. That causes friction in relationships, and maybe in a romantic relationship, it's not a big deal. But we're talking about brother, sister, mother, father, in the culture that we live in right now. How is that? I'm looking at that. I'm like, how is that making changing your beliefs easy around some of these people? Here are some practical suggestions. Keep the real truth constantly in mind. Think about it often and accept it as reality. It is. The real truth is that Jupiter energy, like all others, flow constantly. It can never be exhausted or depleted. It is eternal and everlasting. It is never ending and it is freely available at all times. You are using this energy perhaps in the wrong way or not to its best advantage. Nevertheless, you are in constant contact with this at all times. Your beliefs shape this energy. They give it form in physical terms. Your beliefs therefore shape your life, for better or for worse. You are not fated, nor are you subject to karma or the will of some outside entity or intangible force. You have free choice in the way in which you use energy. This is the only concept which makes any sense, for like it or not, you are using free choice if you really care to think about it. You choose to accept the beliefs of others instead of thinking for yourself, and although this could be excused in early life when you were more trusting and somewhat gullible, it is now time to exercise choice once again. Unless you do, nothing will ever change and life will continue to appear to be beyond your control. 2. If the power of abundance does indeed flow freely into your life, then all you have to do is provide a more fitting channel along which it may flow. There's an old truth which says that you cannot think of two things at the same time. Try it, you will find that this is true. Make use of this fact by keeping the truth in mind at all times and by the regular use of affirmations. An affirmation is simply a phrase or sentence which epitomizes some essential truth or new belief pattern. This is repeated often until it is learned by the subconscious. You can see how this works if you cast your mind back to school days and the techniques used in learning multiplication tables and other necessary pieces of information. These were repeated over and over again until they were memorized, that is, until they were accepted by the subconscious mind. To make use of affirmations is really quite easy and well worth the effort involved. First, you must think of some suitable phrase which sums up your intention, be this better health, more money, self-confidence, or anything you like. As we are dealing with Jupiter, a suitable phrase could be, with each passing day, I allow Jupiter energy to bring joy, opportunity, luck, and overflowing abundance into my life. And more to this, my experience, what this does for most people, for example, take the health piece. You start doing this, you start to get thoughts and ideas in your mind that lead you to greater health. Like if I start doing this, the first thing that comes to my mind is I need to get on my yoga routine more often. I need to be doing it daily. I need to be doing it longer. I start thinking I need to get back to running outside. I need to, I do these things. I do these things fairly regularly, but just the things that come to mind that are going to enhance that and increase my health start to come to mind. At least specific to me. Or like for money, example, I start thinking of business ideas, and I started thinking of working more on my business, and I started thinking of what other jobs I can get, etc. So I don't know that it works as if it's like a miracle. It's just puts you kind of like reminders to put you into to get you into action in the right direction. Say this often whenever you have spare time, especially first thing in the morning before the pressures of the day begin, or last thing at night before going to sleep. It is not sufficient to simply repeat words then expect miracles. In order to get full cooperation of your subconscious mind, you have to put feeling into these words and use your imagination. How would you feel if abundance did flow into your life? Try to capture this feeling. See yourself having all that you desire and try to be optimistic during this exercise. In short, indulge yourself in this brief excursion into the reality of the subconscious instruction. Affirmations may also be ritualized to some degree. This does not mean that you have to perform a full-scale rite with candles, incense, and all. All that you need to do is find somewhere quiet, spend some time relaxing, and then, in your imagination, erect the cosmic sphere, finally repeating your affirmation slowly and deliberately as indicated previously. Regular ritual work with the energy of Jupiter is bound to be beneficial. Either use this energy for some specific purpose, or alternatively adopt the intention of opening up to this power. By this I mean allowing it into your life so that it may, guided by your subconscious mind, begin to work for you. Keep the intention in mind. Use an affirmation such as, I allow the beneficial energies of Jupiter to enter my life in accordance with truth and the laws of abundance. So he puts that in quotations. I'll repeat that. I allow the beneficial energies of Jupiter to enter my life in accordance with truth and the laws of abundance. Use the appropriate correspondences, both physical and imaginary. See the bright blue light flood into the temple, bringing with it the joys of sheer abundance, and once again, use creative thinking to assist in building a channel along which this power may flow into actuality. Remember, life really is trying to give you everything that you desire. All that you have to do is allow this to happen by providing a channel. Even the slightest effort will always be repaid. Giving out. I mentioned earlier that there was the two-part equation of taking in and giving out. There are many ways to look at this, of which two stand out. Firstly, it makes no difference if you are an occultist or not. You are bound to meditate. You're bound to mediate planetary energies. In other words, you take these in, and through the incredible abilities of your subconscious mind, you direct these to cause physical effects, even though you may not be aware of this fact. Magic is the science of learning to understand and use the power of the subconscious mind so that the giving out attains more favorable results. Magic gives you control, providing you take the time and trouble to learn and apply knowledge. Therefore, by self-discipline, realization, and application, you learn to give out planetary forces which carry your intentions rather than your fears, vague hopes and wishes, and the effects of negative belief patterns. Secondly, we can also control what we effectively give out by seeking to adopt a little-known cosmic fact. For the purpose of illustration, imagine that you act as a pipeline through which power flows, rather than like water flows through any normal pipe. Your beliefs will not alter the rate of flow. They will simply color the effect. However, your actions can and do prevent a fullness of flow. In effect, it is possible to choke up this flow by adopting bad habits and keeping with the negative side of a planetary energy. For instance, with Jupiter, the habit of greed will effectively block up your own access to abundance. Negative Jupiter habits act as a brake. They slow up power flow. The lesson is therefore one of taking a good hard look at yourself and then, in the light of honesty, resolving to get rid of these problems. In addition to help restore the flow, do the reverse. This means learning to give. You can see evidence of this in truly abundant individuals. They give out, they're generous and beneficent to others. As you give, so shall you receive. This is the law, and furthermore, it works. Something I would say about that too is he's not really mentioning what else, there's other things about Jupiter other than this optimism and abundant life. If you take someone like me, if I start working with Jupiter, knowing me to be the person I am, I'm probably going to have an inflow of thoughts, ideas. I'll begin to read more, think more, etc. And that's just a different Jupiter energy that has nothing to do with what he's talking about. And for me right now, I may be doing too much of that. So that's not really going to help. That really wouldn't necessarily help me. So I guess to that end, I'm saying that I'm not sure you have that much control over the energies. They affect, the energy of Jupiter may have different effect on different people based on their natal chart. So, you can see the evidence of this in truly abundant individuals. They give out, they're generous and beneficent to others. As you give, so shall you receive. This is the law, and furthermore, it works. Think about this, then apply it. Not for selfish, egotistical reasons, but for the simple reason that by doing so, you are conforming to the laws, the law of abundance and the law of cause and effect. Seek to give and you will gain, often in surprising ways. Then he has Jupiter there, the symbol, the equal armed cross, the color is blue, the metal is tin, the incense sandalwood. Jupiter is the planet of expansion in all its forms and therefore rules abundance, affluence, fortune, luck, prosperity, riches, and wealth. Jupiter also rules long-distance communications, long-distance travel, legal matters, taxation, investments, higher education, and academic matters, the deeper mind, and all those who are in a position to help by providing opportunities, and so forth. That's another thing. I'll start thinking about taking foreign trips. So, thanks for watching. That's Jupiter from this book here, and have a great day.